Winter changes everything for donkeys: how they move, how they think, how they respond to training. Today, I'm going to show you how we help new arrivals settle in during the cold weather, what to watch for when the snow makes your burro extra nervous, how we safely transition the herd from summer pasture to winter living, and why donkeys respond so differently than horses. We'll also look at winter management tasks, how to deworm untouched burros, and what to expect from a green donkey first rides in the snow. Every moment in this video teaches you something about reading your donkey and meeting them where they are. Whenever new wild burros come home, the first week tells you a lot about their natural instincts. What you're seeing here is completely normal: stiff body posture, wide eyes, and lots of standing back and observing. Snow can also make them extra unsure, especially if they haven't experienced it before. The crunching under your boots, the white ground, even the cold wind can slow down the curiosity process. In these early days, my goal is to create a predictable movement around them: feeding, cleaning, checking fences without pushing for interaction. Staying consistent makes them feel safe enough to start watching you instead of avoiding you. Moving animals to winter pasture and why letting them run matters. Next, we move the horses and mules from the summer pasture into the winter pasture. This kind of transition day is valuable because it shows you each animal's comfort level. Horses and mules tend to explode with movement, running, bucking, shaking off excess energies. Donkeys are different. Some will join in, but many hang back and just assess. They're conserving energy, staying out of the chaos. Now, when we have donkeys out in a pasture or even in the wild pen, the males seem to play very rough, where the girls, I've only seen the girls play very much when they're in heat. Letting the herd get the wild out is important. Movement is essential not only for conditioning, but also mental health, especially before winter confinement. We also found a snake that had been stomped, probably by the herd. Donkeys and mules are naturally defensive and will destroy threats like snakes even when they're unsure of them. As winter approaches, remember that grass changes too. After the first frost, sugars spike before the grass goes dormant. So if your donkeys have access to pasture, keep an eye on weight, especially easy keepers. One thing that's really important to understand about donkeys and even a lot of mules is they don't do well with rich grass. Donkeys are desert animals. Their whole digestive system is designed for dry, low-sugar forage. So when they get access to lush grass, especially spring or irrigated pasture, it can overload their system really quickly. Where I live here in Montana, our grass is pretty lean, especially this time of year when it's brown and dormant. So a short turnout can be okay, but during the growing season, like the exact same field could make the donkeys very overweight or even seriously sick. I've had donkeys and mules that need grazing muzzles and a couple that couldn't be out on grass at all because they had foundered or gotten laminitis in the past. The mule that we got with Seamus, or the mule that we got when we got Seamus, she had foundered so badly that she could not have access to grass at any time, but we knew this before we brought her home. But it was a learning experience because she was getting abscesses in her feet, and we learned it was because of one place we went camping at that she had access to grass, and that there is what caused all of her troubles. And once we stopped bringing her there with us, she never had any more abscesses again. So with donkeys, you really have to watch their sugars, watch their weight, and pay attention to how their bodies respond. A donkey eating grass nonstop isn't a cute thing. It can turn into laminitis or metabolic issues really fast. Why donkeys can get sick from too much grass? Grass, especially spring grass, is high in fructans, plant sugars. Donkeys can't process well. Too much sugar leads to insulin spikes, which triggers laminitis. Donkeys store fat differently than horses. More internal fat, which raises risks even if they don't look fat. Rich grass plus low movement equals weight gain, metabolic issues. Donkeys evolved to eat brush, weeds, dry stems, and shrubs, not continuous pasture. Improving the water trough for the extreme cold. Here Dan is modifying the water trough by lowering it slightly into the ground and packing dirt around the sides. We hope that this is going to act as a natural insulation. Last year we hit -40 below. We found even with the water tank heaters, the water's struggled to stay open. Adding this layer of protection is hopefully going to give the heater a break. Keeping animals in wild pens and dry lots means that there's a lot of manure to manage. If you're thinking about gentling multiple wild burros, panel layout matters. You want lanes that prevent bottlenecks, room to separate individuals, and have enough space to safely move while being able to influence their movement. We've got more burros coming, so this prep saves us time later. Deworming wild burros that aren't ready for handling. Now next is something that we're trying for the first time. One of the new burros showed classic signs of worms, biting at her sides and showing discomfort. Normally we would syringe paste dewormer directly into their mouth, but these burros aren't ready for touch yet. So we mix the dewormer with crimped oats and Timothy pellets. For anyone trying this, go slow. We are doing this before they've had their breakfast or their meal, and we separated each donkey out in a pen by themselves so that way we know for sure if they'll eat it. And the first day we got 7 of these 8 to eat it, and then the next morning we separated the one remaining one who hadn't had it yet, and he ate it also. Now it's important to deworm them all at the same time because otherwise they will reinfect each other. Now in the fall, we like to deworm with ivermectin as it will kill any of those bot fly eggs. It was only 10 degrees out, guys, but we got out with the mules, a couple donkeys, and a horse. Now this was Wild Donkey Oz's 3rd trail ride ever. And if you're out there riding with a wild donkey or a green donkey, these are some things that I want you to know. This was Oz's first ride in the snow. And with the young donkey and green donkeys, what I want you to expect is hesitations. When I went to catch Wild Donkey from the 2-acre pasture, she was nervous to walk through the gate. You know, the water trough was just moved. There was fresh snow there that didn't have any marks in it. And she was like, I'm a little bit nervous. Go slow, be patient. The power of the pause is real. When you ask them for something and they're hesitant, if you just start pulling on them, you're going to create resistance. But if you pause and offer them a good deal, drive them forward if you need to, then you're going to have a lot more success. I've heard it said that donkeys need to see your resume before they'll work with you. Donkeys are not convinced that you know what you're doing. So they'll question your decisions until they feel confident following you. The contrast here is interesting. The mules take off trotting while the donkeys lag behind. That's normal. Donkeys need conditioning before they can match a mule or a horse's pace. The exciting part today is that offered her longest trot so far. That's a huge confidence step for her, and I was so excited. Why snow slows curiosity? Back in the wild pen, notice how nervous the burros look. Snow changes everything. Footing, sound, temperature, visibility. If they came from a warmer area or haven't seen snow before, the environment itself becomes a training variable. Crunching snow under our boots puts several of them on high alert today. This is why progress isn't linear. Whether footing, shadows, wind, they all influence how quickly a burro becomes curious or willing to approach. A key thing to be doing when they're really nervous because of a variable we cannot control is just say, are you comfortable being with me? Just back up. Trying to push to where you were yesterday when the wind is blowing today is only going to set you backwards. Start slow and then build up to what they could do yesterday. Get them saying yes. Famous Seamus body condition experiment. Famous Seamus has been in the wild pen lately, but he moves around to many different pens, not because he's wild, but because we're experimenting with hay control versus natural movement. He loves attention, but he also loves snacks. And winter can be hard on easy keepers. We'll be monitoring how much he's exercising and how much his exercise changes when he's in a larger pen. For donkeys like him, managing calories is as important as managing training and mental stimulation. So here he's moving around all the time, and then we're going to be measuring his heart girth and just the largest part of his body, his belly area, just to see what kind of changes happen when he's out there versus in a smaller pasture. Pasture movement, body language, and confidence building. These last minutes show the herd running, playing, snorting, and shaking off the cold. Watching free movement teaches you a lot about a herd hierarchy. The horses and the mules are initiating the running. The rest quickly jump in, and the donkeys, especially Seamus, choose strategy over speed. He'll throw a kick or two to warn anyone who comes too close, but he's not wasting calories unless he has to. That's classic donkey behavior. Now, if there was more male donkeys out there in that pasture, the male donkeys would play like rough. They'd play very rough. Natural movement like this builds coordination, confidence, joint health, and mental calmness. I always recommend letting your donkeys have time to move freely when you can. It sets them up better for training and good mental health in general. I get asked the question about when should you let your wild donkey be out there with the rest of them just running around. I think that as soon as you can is best. It's good for their feet and it's just good for their mind. But you're going to need to have a way to lure them back into the wild pen for training if they're not ready to be caught yet. Make sure your fences are sturdy enough to handle whatever's happening out there. In general, I do like them to be able to be accepting a halter in the pen and then letting them run around.